Hello there, kia ora. I get that it must suck being the leader of a country where not only can you not get the respect of the voters, but also your own coalition deputies. I suspect that's actually why Christopher Luxon likes to jet off overseas as much as possible. The mental health breaks, where a former CEO who wasn't used to people telling him that he was wrong can relax while other people make him feel like a big deal. I think it's called self-care. But it doesn't change the fact that things aren't going so great for him here, even when his party tried to claim a win, like the announcement GDP went up 0.8% in the last quarter, which is good in isolation, but we're still down on where we were a year ago. The polls over the past month keep saying the same thing. National is struggling, which is weird because it's usually the support parties who end up suffering under a coalition. But this shows how much influence voters think the largest party in terms of the coalition really has. And then there was the Ipsos poll this week. Ipsos don't poll asking who people would vote for, they ask what the issues are impacting you and who you think would do a better deal fixing them. And in that poll, Labour came out on top for the majority of issues New Zealanders identified, and made gains in other areas that National came out on top, showing a general disdain for the current coalition and a general belief that they're not tackling those issues that we need them to tackle, like the cost of living. We were promised a laser focus. Instead, we got, we're bringing down interest rates, which aren't set by the government and have little immediate outcomes for renters. Meanwhile, as Jordan points out here in this very handy graph, the price of butter has skyrocketed, and that's just one item. Groceries keep going up, same as rents, rates, and power. In fact, looking at the most recent data sets out there, we can see some trends which shed some light on why this government is seen to be failing New Zealanders. Like this one, which shows GDP and income per capita in a steady decline since the coalition took power, and now at rates not seen since during COVID lockdowns and supply chain issues. Just as they cancelled pay equity claims and after delivering the lowest minimum wage increases in generations and delivered tax cuts for the wealthy and landlords and tobacco companies. Or this one showing the unemployment rate skyrocketing, next to this one showing the number of advertised jobs at the second lowest that they've been since the global financial crisis, the lowest again being during COVID. While we see headlines about harsher sanctions for people on benefits because they won't get off their asses and go and find one of those jobs that don't exist. Or this graph that shows the massive reduction in residential housing builds to the lowest point since the global financial crisis, while we see rising homeless numbers due to government policies, stories of people fleeing domestic violence being refused emergency housing, and cancelled builds from Kāinga Ora. Or even this graph on immigration, which shows net migration at the lowest level since COVID and the global financial crisis. And the data says the same thing over and over. The policies and priorities of the coalition government do not make the lives of ordinary New Zealanders better. They make the quality of life for many far, far worse. So much so that they're looking to leave the country to get away from it. And the polls aren't the only ones who see this. On a recent trip to Shanghai to woo fossil fuel investors, Shane Jones was told point blank, investors in those industries don't think the coalition will be back in power next election, so there's no real point in doing the work here to try and strip mine our resources just yet. And a first-term government being so unpopular, being seen as so weak on so many issues, and seen as a bad prospect internationally just halfway through its term, that's unprecedented. And I'm sure things will change for them when they, keep doing the same things, targeting the same vulnerable people, making life harder for the average Kiwi over and over again, because that's what they seem to think works. Because their bank accounts and the bank accounts of their donors, they look fine. Hey, thanks for checking out today's video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe so you get more updates as we go along. We deal with these guys for the rest of the year.